A couple of commissioners mentioned the alignment of the police department back into removing the police department as a charter commission so they could realign it with the rest of the departments of the city and how they can control those departments. And this was the conversation very similar to what we had in 2018. And back in 2018, the city attorney issued a memo to the Minneapolis Charter Commission on September 2018, which was in response to our questions to the Gordon Charter Amendment. The city attorney said at the time that, quote, other than the charter language provided for the executive committee and its powers to appoint, suspend, and remove officers, the charter gives the city council has no direct control over the officers and employees of any department in the city. Each department head has the authority to write policies and procedures for the respected department, generally sets the standards for the department employees, and controls the operations of the department. The city council approves business plans and ultimately can set the budget, but does not have the authority to direct the internal operations of any city department. That's current practice. In the conclusion of the memo, the city attorney states the powers and authority of the mayor and the city council are distinct, with the mayor having clear executive authority over the internal operations of the police department. The city council has the same authority over the police department as it does over all city departments. Its authority to legislate and set enterprise policies, goals, and strategic direction, hold hearings, and require accountability of any reports and information from the PD. According to this memo, the city council already has the same control over the police department as it does with every other department. One of the main arguments in support of this amendment is that the city council does not currently have control over the police department as it has over other departments. Many of you told the public that you need the police department moved out of the charter department so it can be treated the same way as other departments. How does this amendment eliminate the police department and creating a public safety violence prevention department give you more control over policies and procedures, ensuring the safety of all residents and the accountability over the service providers?
I can start and see if others want to jump in. I do think the critical piece of that memo is reiterating the charter language itself, which is that the mayor has complete power over the police department. And the memo did give some examples of things that the council could do. I would argue that in practice, using the budget as a leverage tool for policy or culture change in the police department is neither effective nor transparent for the public, and it creates a really, I think, difficult relationship that wouldn't exist if there was more direct control over that department. Some examples of way that we direct not the individual employees themselves, but the work of departments are some policy directives that we've given to other departments in the city. For example, the Complete Streets policy that directs the work of the Public Works Department, the Renters First policy that directs the work of the Regulatory Services Department, and sets policy priorities for those departments that the employees are expected to follow per the direction of policymakers. I think another example is the difference between setting use of force policy internally within the department through the mayor and the chief versus having a transparent public discussion about policies that the department has, like its use of force policy. So per the memo, the city council could ban all employees who work for the city from using chokeholds, for example. But that's like a disingenuous way to really talk about our authority over employees, and I think is a confusing way for us to engage with a department that we do not have policy authority over per the charter. So I think it's important to really, I think, be clear about what the charter says and the barriers that it creates for policymakers and for that transparent public process that comes along with the city council's process.
Mr. Chair, if I could just to follow up.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
I thank the President Bender for that, but this was a memo that was pretty clear from our own city attorney. So if there's more clarification needed on what you can and can't do, I think you should get that because I think.
Yeah, I have the memo. I'm reading from it.
Yep. So do I.